Welcome to Her Unscripted, episode 13, Why Motivation is Actually a Lie. Motivation is something that I would consider fake in terms of its relation to success. Motivation is not something that we can rely on to reach goals. It is something that we can rely on to accomplish something for a short period of time or a specific task. When we want to reach our goals, we need to rely on discipline and structure. Without proper discipline and structure, we're not going to reach anything. If you think about motivation, I'm motivated today to clean my house. I'm motivated today to, you know, cook specific meal or to see people versus if you were going to rely on motivation, it's something that you don't have on a daily basis or an hourly basis. Discipline is something that comes in, and whether you want to that morning or not, whether you're feeling up to it, whether you're in a funk or not, you're going to get it done with discipline. And I tend to refer back to my training for my marathon because that's one of the examples that truly taught me discipline versus motivation. I was very motivated to sign up for the marathon, but I was disciplined to follow the training leading up to the marathon. When it came to training for it and following a specific program, whether I was sore or not, whether I was motivated or not to go on long runs, whether I hydrated enough or not, whatever was happening in my life, I still had to make sure that I was completing my training to accomplish my ultimate goal, which required consistency. I couldn't go based on feelings and emotions. I would say when it came to motivation versus discipline in my daily life, it started at a very young age. And I think it's my surroundings that I learned now had a lot of consistency and discipline. And it's not until I actually dissected the difference between two that I realized watching my parents, you know, from raising 8 kids, and my mom implementing certain daily structures to be able to raise the 8 kids with the way she did, and my dad being able to maintain a financial standard that he followed to be able to provide to our family. It consisted of a level of discipline and structure that just it's remarkable thinking about it and how our lives were. Something as simple as my mom not allowing us to sleep in on the weekend past 7 a.m., which, you know, till this day I'm a little annoyed by her because I'm not capable of sleeping in. But that created discipline, right? It created discipline at a young age in terms of overindulging, relaxing maybe a little too much, which as an adult, we do need to relax, but the overindulgence in any aspect. And following that at such a young age and following a certain schedule with cleaning the house and our dinners being at the table at a specific time, all that structure and discipline forced me to implement it on a daily basis in my personal life. And I'm obviously very grateful for it because I'm able to achieve certain goals that I, you know, automatically put and force myself to achieve. A lot of times I joke around that I don't know how I feel. So instead of stopping and connecting with myself emotionally, I'm just at times a bit robotic, but that robotic concept during work hours and during hours of operation, whether it's with my son or at work, it gets me to accomplish so many goals. Waking up early, that's a level of discipline, allows me to accomplish certain workouts that lead me to feel better and look better. This morning, I still woke up early, not to work out, but to do what I consider self care, which is get into the sauna and a cold plunge and have my coffee alone. So these discipline actions or disciplinary actions that I take on a daily basis allows me to accomplish personal and professional goals. When it comes to finding the motivation to tap into discipline, right? Because you do have to find motivation to tap into discipline. The best thing is connecting with yourself and seeing what you need to do to make sure you're feeling your best internally, right? So for me, it's making sure I'm hydrated, taking vitamins, doing things that optimize your energy. That's just a basic line, right? We're just talking wake up, start with hydration. I know this is so repetitive on my end, but hydration does so much for your body and you automatically start feeling better. Take your proper vitamins, right? These that automatically feels like you're doing something good for yourself. Even if it hasn't hit you yet, it just feels like you're being proactive, right? Setting an alarm, right, at a certain time. Let's be realistic. You're not someone who wakes up early. Don't set your alarm for 6 a.m. on a weekend. It's just now you're just gonna snooze your alarm and feel horrible about yourself because guess what? You just failed another goal that you had for yourself. Set your alarm for 8 a.m., right? Wake up, have, I would say 32 ounces of water, but whatever extra water you can take, start taking electrolytes, take your vitamins, make a list. Make a list for you on a personal level for your weekend. I'm not even talking work wise. I'm talking, you know, you want to accomplish XYZ on the weekend. You want to get a workout in, you want to get an outdoor walk, you want to see your parents because that feels like you're fulfilling a goal. And you want to connect with your friend and clean out your closet. So those are realistic goals on a, 2.5 days span of time you can accomplish. I would start with, whatever makes you feel good, right? So go for that walk. Plan out caffeine to get you extra, energized and literally check off that list. It feels so good. Sometimes writing things versus like typing it. We're so used to typing in our phones, but sometimes writing it so you could scratch it off feels really good. That would help you start feeling accomplished and you start implementing little discipline because that initial, motivation that got you to head in that direction, it just makes you feel accomplished. And when you start feeling accomplished, you want to accomplish more. And that slowly creates discipline because it feels so good to get things done. Mental health is so important to tap into, and we all have it at different levels. Some of us are prone to anxiety, prone to depression, and then some of us are, a little more blessed in that department and can float through life and not really feel these, um, negative feelings that can force you to not accomplish anything. On a personal level, I'm very prone to depression. I always have been. I naturally am a high anxiety person. My norm is high anxiety. That's like my norm. It's not normal if I'm not, right? So if anyone knows about, feeling like crap or not motivated to do anything, it's me. I do everything in my power to not fall into that. I mean, if you see my daily schedule to make sure I'm not hitting that, it's insane. Hydration is so important. It automatically wakes up your cells internally, right? It hydrates your gut. It hydrates your intestines. That naturally makes your mental feel better. So remember, we've discussed in the past the connection between mental health and gut health, right? So for me, it starts there, tapping into that. in terms of getting out of a funk or a depressive episode, you need to follow what, you know, the steps to get yourself out of that, which, it's not always being able to like force yourself mentally to get out of that. If it's so bad, you need to seek help. You need to I love starting with blood work. I am so pro blood work, pro, checking your vitamins, your hormones, because all that affects where your energy levels are. And if your energy levels are too low, you're going to feel depressed. You're going to feel this lack of motivation. So, I've spoken about this before. Low vitamin D makes you feel depressed, makes you have low energy. Get your vitamin D checked, make sure that's at optimum levels. Optimum levels is not necessarily the medical range, but optimum levels is around 60. I take my vitamin D on a daily basis and I finally have it sitting between 60 and 70. It does wonders for me. Check your hormone levels. So many women are feeling depressed due to fluctuation in hormones. PMDD is a thing. Premenopausal is a thing. All that kind of stuff make you feel depressed. So check doing a nice full panel of blood work. You need to see a therapist. You sign up for that. You need to go for walks. Walks automatically get you out of this depressive episode. There's something about taking a walk, and not a run, a walk. It does something with your eyes going from side to side, and that supposedly balances this something about balances something in your brain that helps you automatically feel like a boost of serotonin. And I mean, anyone that goes for a walk for like 15 to 30 minutes automatically feels better. So, implementing little things like that, therapists, medications, a thing. You can't implement discipline and find motivation if you aren't doing well mentally. It's just not possible. Tapping into what you need to do to get there is so important, and knowing what it is. Some people, it's sitting down in silence and sitting outside. Other people, it might be, being active physically. We all have different things. But when I say I fight it on a daily basis, even midday, if things are getting out of control at work, going for a walk outside and looking at the sky and taking 3 deep breaths, that's like my trick for if I don't have time for go for a walk. We have to be proactive, and being proactive is a form of discipline. There's so many different aspects of mental health, and I'm not clinically certified to sit there and actually dissect these things, but I do my research and watch TikTok. And there's things like OCD or ADHD or all these different forms of functioning, right? And some do great on a specific schedule and thrive when they're on the schedule. Some people need mentally a list to follow and to check off to be able to accomplish things. And it all goes back to tapping into knowing what you are and who you are. And if you don't do specific studies like getting checked and getting your blood work done and seeing a professional, you're not going to be able to see what works best for you. I joke around about my son that he made me love and find ADHD people so endearing. He is the epitome of it. And it's so interesting looking at or learning how his brain works to help him thrive. And I'm so blessed that I find it so interesting, and I'm able to work with him based on how his brain functions to optimize his life. And due to that, I'm realizing different people in my life that have had different functioning brains, and how they need certain structure to be able to achieve certain goals, right? So with Zano, we need to have a certain daily structure to thrive, right? Sometimes interruption of that structure makes him not, function at his best. I think of my brother Mo, who, I mean, another epitome of ADHD, and he was misunderstood growing up. And now that he knows how his brain functions, he is a beast in the workplace. He is achieving everything he's ever dreamt of. So it's tapping into the way your brain functions too. The way I function doesn't mean it's the right way. It means it's what works for me and the way my brain works versus your brain needs a different setup. So it's learning who you are and how you function and seeking the help to understand how you function. You for me, I had my anxiety was way too high. I needed to get that under control to be able to handle daily life issues and stressors, right? So it doesn't mean it changed me getting on medication to help me control my anxiety. It just made me help optimize my life and reach what I'm capable of reaching.